This episode is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Fiscally responsible, financial geniuses, monetary magicians. These are things people say about drivers who switch their car insurance to Progressive and save hundreds. Visit Progressive.com to see if you could save. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Potential savings will vary, not available in all states or situations.
The James Golden Show. Entertaining and informative. On the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Welcome, my friends, to the Saturday Morning Vibe. That was Susan Glasser. She was on PMS NBC, PMS Now, PMS Then, PMS whatever they call themselves these days. If you would like to be on the program, we will take calls a little bit. 800-848-9222 is the number to call. 800-848-9222 is how you reach us. On the Saturday Morning Vibe, the government shutdown will extend past the weekend. Speaker Johnson has canceled the House votes for next week. And this is just, it has gone into the land of the absurd in some cases. Let me tell you what's going to happen today. Princess Diana is going to be with us. Cannot wait to catch up with Princess Diana. As always, America's small caffeinated mom, Rhonda Schrock, will be here. Lizzie Radabali will be here. So we've got the crew here. And your calls at 800-848-9222. Yes, the shutdown is dominating the news, but there are other things going on. I hope to touch on some of them. Let me begin. There are a spate of articles. This one comes from the LA Times this morning, and it was also republished at Yahoo, which means it reaches an audience well beyond the LA Times. It is from one of their contributors in the LA Times, Matt K. Lewis, who is the author of Filthy Rich Politicians and Too Dumb to Fail, two books of his. But the op-ed says Congress Democrats are wildly unprepared to face down Trump. This is LA Times. Donald Trump has made politics into a dystopian reality show he loves to host. But Democratic leaders Chuck Schumer, Hakeem Jeffries are playing by the old rules, and the mismatch may cause Democrats to get blamed for a government shutdown. This is not because they're dumb, they're not, or incompetent, as the top Democrats of the Senate, House, and Representatives of New York have both risen to positions that require a Lyndon Baines Johnson-esque dexterity most of us couldn't sustain for a single PTA meeting. But you can see it. You can see it playing out in the government shutdown. Schumer and Jeffries seem almost neurologically incapable of operating in the world Trump has created. One where politics is less about governing or even persuasion and more about staying on offense and generating spectacle. Schumer exudes old-fashioned backroom politics and insider deal-making, which is another way of saying that he's scripted, sweaty, and stilted. It's not that he's bad at speaking, it's the kind of speaking he has mastered. The methodical, over-enunciated style that once charmed donors and editorial boards is the equivalent of trying to fax something in 2025. Jeffries, by contrast, is calm and disciplined. He speaks slowly, often channeling a rhythmic pattern that is reminiscent of a preacher or litigator. In a different era, the kind of era when normal politics still existed, this trait might have worked brilliantly. Today, it just feels tired. He's supposed to be the hip one, once marketed as a bad, brilliant brother from Brooklyn. But his recent attempts at communication feel more like a corporate onboarding seminar. And it's not like he's compensating for this shortcoming by electrifying the progressive base. Jeffrey's recent praise for New York Mayor Eric Adams, calling him a man who served courageously and authentically for decades, was a bit like praising Nickelback for artistic innovation. It's not just inaccurate, it's weirdly tone deaf at the moment. To be fair, competing with Trump's megaphone requires a skill set that's closer to professional wrestling than 20th century politics. Trump is chaotic and often incoherent to the point of parody, so he says. But in this key, he never sounds like a normal politician. In a game where authenticity, however poorly defined and cynically constructed, is the only real currency, the Democrats' undynamic duo come across as high-functioning androids. Boy, he's ripping these guys apart. Countering Trump's superpower calls for Democrats who can compete in the attention economy, leaders who feel authentic, who actually enjoy picking constant political fights, who understand going viral is the new getting quoted in the New York Times. Let me repeat that line because that is central to all this. Countering Trump's superpower calls for Democrats who can compete in the attention economy. That's an interesting phrase. Leaders who feel authentic, who enjoy picking constant political fights and understand that going viral is the new getting quoted in the New York Times. Indeed, the only Democrats who've shown any capacity for being able to survive in this era have been Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez of New York and California Gavin Newsom. I would take issue with that. Newsom. Well, Newsom does get print, but it's not, well, maybe it pleases his base. And it goes on. Case in point, Republicans are about to make health care more expensive for millions of Americans. No, Democrats did that. And that's going to bring me to something else I want to talk about shortly. In theory, that's a devastating talking point. In practice, it's difficult to imagine Schumer and Jeffries delivering it in a way that can compete with Trump's bogus assertion that Democrats are shutting down the government because they want free health care for illegal immigrants and transgender for everybody, whatever that means. And that, so I'm going to leave it there, but you got it. Now, that brings me to a point, this repeat of this dishonesty that Republicans about making health care for more expensive for everybody, and the idea that it is a lie that Democrats shut down the government because they want free health care for illegal immigrants, etc., which is the big one. Anybody that follows this debate honestly knows that despite fact checks from mainstream media news outlets who themselves are dishonest, a lot of this fight is exactly over that. I found it interesting this week. Kelvin, we don't have this on the list, but see whether you can find Maxine Waters. We had it earlier in the week. I played it earlier in the week. Maxine Waters is basically said the truth about all of this, that Democrats want health care for everybody. She just laid it out there. She just said it. And she was annoyed when she said it. She said it to a journalist who was questioning her about this idea of illegal immigrants getting health care. Maxine Waters, Representative Maxine Waters. If you can find, if not, we'll go through it. I'd love to hear Maxine do it. Now, this brings me to the point I want to make about honesty. We all know that politicians lie. You hear that all the time. Okay, politicians lie. So when a politician says something that's true in the face of all the swirling lies, it does generate some attention. So listen to this exchange from Maxine Waters, representative from California. And then I'm going to go from there. Here's Maxine Waters.
But aren't Democrats demanding health care for illegal aliens?
That's right. Democrats are demanding health care for everybody. We want to save lives. We want to make sure that health care is available to those who would die, but having the help of their government.
So you're good with the government shutdown, even if it means giving health care to people who aren't American citizens?
Well, that's what you're pushing on. What you're trying to do is you're standing here and you're trying to make me say that somehow we're going to put non-citizens over Americans. Quit it. Stop it. This is the kind of journalism we don't need.
No, I'm just
you're divisive.
questions.
No, you're not.
Yeah, no,
you're being divisive. No, please. You don't need to ask that question. You're just trying to get controversy here. You're not going to get it from me. We want to save health care for all people. Thank you.
Thank you, Congresswoman. Appreciate it.
Now, that was honest. Now, a lot of us don't agree with some of what she said. But I think this was, Maxine Waters, I'm not a fan. But this one struck me as she had the courage to actually state the truth. Democrats want health care for everybody. We don't want to see people die. We don't want to see people that are in trouble have problems and die. So, yeah, we want people to have health care, to get treated. Okay. I can respect that that's what she thinks. The debate is a little bit more nuanced than that, but that's a position. And it's not a position built on falsehoods. It's not a position built on spin. It is an honest position. And here's what I actually think about her position. On the surface, most people would agree with her. I don't want to see people die. All you good people out here, you good conservatives, you don't want to see people die. I always remember this. I have friends that are musicians. Many of you know that. Some of my friends, musicians, were traveling in Europe a few years ago. One of them had a serious accident. They walked into a hospital in France. They didn't hassle them about insurance cards. They didn't go through anything. The doctors came, looked at it, and fixed it. Ended up having to put the extremity in a cast. And then there's like, okay, now go. If any of us found ourselves in a situation where we were seriously injured, we had something catastrophic, and we went to the hospital, we would hope that someone would treat us. And many of us would hope that any person that goes to a hospital with something wrong that's catastrophic would get treated, that everyone would. We want that too. Now the issue becomes, at what price for the country? If we're doing this for millions of people who should not be here, and how do we remedy that? And so that's where the debate should lie. Not in the fact that we all want people to be treated properly when they're sick. And that's the honest debate that we're not having because of all the lies that are being generated and the obfuscations about giving people health care. I'll have more on this when we get back.
The James Golden Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
We have telephone calls at 800-848-9222. I do want to get back. We've got so much to discuss, but I want to catch up with Adam, who's calling in from Long Island. And Adam, welcome. How are you this morning?
I'm all right, Mr. Snerdley. I just want to commend you how you really broke down that healthcare issue, because you're actually telling 100% truth, and I appreciate that, because the Democrats it's against the law to give illegals health care. Like, I don't know if anybody knows that, but it's against the law. So they can't.
Yes, it is.
So, I just wanted to share that,
Now, it's against the law, but let me just point this out, Adam, and I thank you for those. I thank you for that. But let me point this out. You know what's also against the law? It's against the law to deny somebody coverage when they go for emergency care. So we've got two things that are against the law that are diametrically opposed to each other. And that's where the loophole has been. So it is illegal to not give health care coverage to someone when they're in distress. They go to the emergency room. I don't care whether they have insurance or not. The law says you got to treat them. And so what the Democrat Party has done is use this, Adam, as a way to provide basic health care coverage for illegal immigrants. And these hospitals, by the way, used to be, many of them, in financial difficulty. But because the number, we're talking millions of illegal immigrants are using hospitals, emergency rooms, as their primary source of health care, and these hospitals are getting reimbursed for it, the hospitals have become profitable by doing it. And you know who else is making money on this racket? The insurance companies. Insurance companies have increased their stock earnings 4 times over since these schemes have been put in place in recent years. Now, I have, and it's a little bit, I played it early in the week, and Adam, you have given me the opportunity to play it again, if I can find it. Something rare. We heard from a lobbyist. That's cut 34. A D.C. lobbyist. She's in D.C. Her name is Desiree Townsend, and she explains this. And folks, if you missed it during the week, I want you to pay attention now. If you did hear it during the week, please bear with us. It's a little bit lengthy, so about 3 minutes. But this is something that is not being discussed widely, especially by the mainstream media, who keeps telling you Republicans are lying, nobody's paying for illegal. It's not even debatable. Yes, it is, and there's one party lying about it, and their allies in the mainstream press are lying about it. Anyway, this is D.C. lobbyist Desiree Townsend.
Wrapping up the day here at Capitol Hill, it looks like, unfortunately, I think the government is going to shut down, and a large part of that is the Democrats not happy with the Medicaid cuts that were made as part of the big, beautiful bill. And so I was talking to a few Republican members here, and I got to actually talk to Rand Paul. I actually was able to talk with him in the elevator about this issue. So I think the sticking point for Medicaid with the Democrats is, let's take California, for example. California has a high demographic of individuals that are not here legally. And prior to the expansion of health care for them, the hospitals were inundated with people they could not handle. And so when that expansion happened and immigrants who are here, undocumented immigrants that are here, were able to get insurance, all of a sudden, you then had this new kind of revenue stream that came in not only to the hospitals, but now to all these doctors and providers in California. So if this big, beautiful bill and the Medicaid mandates go into place, I think what will happen in California will be a catastrophe, because you'll have all of these individuals now that are not documented with no health insurance. So all of the providers that were making money off of this kind of like new economics in California are now not going to be making any money, and instead these individuals that are undocumented are going to have to go to the hospital for treatment, and that's going to, instead of make the hospital money because they're covered by Medicaid, it's going to create a situation where now the hospitals are losing millions of dollars. So that is what I believe the sticking point is with Medicaid, with Democrats. It has to do with a situation in states like California where you have millions and millions of undocumented individuals, and if they lose insurance, not only will the providers now not make money and the hospitals are not making money, but their only course for them to get treatment is to go to the emergency room, because the hospitals absolutely have to treat anyone who goes to the ER. So now all of a sudden you're looking at a situation where the hospitals are losing billions of dollars instead of making billions of dollars by the Medicaid recipients. So that's where I think this is going, and that's kind of what I explained to Senator Rand Paul, is like, you can't look at this from a macro level. You have to look at what's happening in California to understand that Medicaid, if that goes away for the undocumented individuals in California, you're going to create a catastrophe for the hospital system.
And there you have it. Medicaid. Now, what confuses a lot of people and what the press hides behind, even though they know the facts. Well, the federal government isn't giving the... Yes, they are, because the federal government gives Medicaid dollars to the states. The states, in California's case, they call it Medi-Cal. But that money flows from federal Medicaid dollars. And that is how illegals are having, number one, insurance, and that is now providing wealth, untold wealth, for the hospitals, for doctors, for insurance companies, all making money from you, the taxpayer, giving illegal immigrants health care. Now, maybe you're saying, oh, James, that just cannot be true. Let's go back in time to 2023 and visit a newscast out in Southern California.
Also, starting January 1st, California will become the first state in the nation to offer health insurance to undocumented immigrants.
Under the expansion, more than 700,000 people between the ages of 26 and 49 will be eligible for Medi-Cal. CBS 8's Rocio de la Fe takes a look at the new law and how immigrant rights advocates are reacting.
Immigrant rights advocates call the expansion of health care for undocumented immigrants a major milestone in California.
This is a really major step in California.
Advocates for immigrant rights are celebrating a monumental victory in the fight for more inclusive health care.
Yeah, I'm so grateful again. I think it's really, really important to think about how big of a precedent this is for the entire nation.
Nettie Velasquez is the border policy coordinator at Alliance San Diego. She's a DACA recipient who has been fighting and advocating for health expansion for years.
A lot of undocumented people and, a lot of low-income people, because they don't have access to these resources, they wait until the very end to hopefully receive some care, and by then it's too late. And we shouldn't have to have people, waiting until they're feeling ill to go to the doctor. We should have preventative care, and that's why this is so important.
Those who are eligible will be able to qualify for Medi-Cal, the state's health insurance program for low-income individuals. Medi-Cal offers access to primary and preventative care, specialists, prescription medicine, and more.
Now, folks, Medi-Cal and Medicaid were meant for American citizens. There are American citizens who cannot get care. And this has happened, by the way, this is expanded to other states. There are situations, I remember reading about situations in Denver, where American citizens could not get medical appointments because the system was so overwhelmed with people that are here illegally. And this goes back to what I was saying about honesty and Maxine Waters' statement. Maxine Waters made look, this is a legitimate point of view. Everybody should get health care. Right. I get that. And this goes along with something that the Pope was talking about. This goes to something, the dignity of people. How we treat, this goes back, for goodness sakes, to the golden rule. Treat others the way you want to be treated. We would not want, in our times of need and desperation, to be turned away from getting health care. Many of us don't want anybody else turned away. But now we have to contrast that with the limits. What can we do? America cannot pay for health care for the world. We can't even pay our own health care bills. We are in debt as a nation. So the responsibility of the American government should be what this Trump administration has said their platform is, America first. You put the American citizens first, the needs of America first, and then you try to extend that care to the rest of the world. This is a concept. You don't go and put out the fire at your neighbor's house while your own house is burning. It makes no sense. You put out your fire first. And then, if you can help your neighbors put out their fire, you help them. You definitely help them put out their fire. But you can't let your house burn down while you're trying to busy wandering looking at someone else's fire. These are legitimate debates that society can have, and we should be having these debates honestly. They shouldn't be wrapped up in lies. The mainstream press in this country, including the AP with their phony fact check, should not be saying we don't provide health care coverage for illegal immigrants. We do. And we do because in some cases, as you hear the advocates say, they think it's the right thing to do, which, okay, I understand that point of view. And under other circumstances, I would agree with it. But while American citizens, while our veterans, while our elderly, while people here, while we have infants and other people in poverty situations who cannot get the health care that they deserve and that we pay for as American citizens, while we still have that situation, while we have this catastrophe, Obamacare still decimating the healthcare system, while we have an inept bureaucracy administering some of these things with fraud running rampant, we can't, as a nation, do it all. Fix our stuff first. Fix our own house first. And then, if you want to give largesse, if you want to give generously, as we should as human beings, by all means do that. People that do not belong here legally should be sent home. And now that is another truth. If you then want to provide aid for those countries, then have an honest debate about what we can do to help our neighbors and to help our fellow man, as we should do as good human beings in the world. But don't base policy on lies. And those lies are what have been happening now, and we are as a nation fighting over lies instead of trying to arrive at a solution based on truth. James Golden. Abbey Road. John Lennon. I think, and Paul McCartney. Isn't this one of their, I know who would know. He who shall not be named would know. James Golden Snerdley, 50 years. Abbey Road. On this day. 800-848-9222. Do not go away.
The James Golden Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
James Golden Snerdley, we got to get to the calls. Let's check in Queens with Donald. Good morning, Donald. How are you?
Yeah, hello, Mr. Snerdley. I'm an avid listener to WABC. I listen to all the shows a lot. Now, listen to me. I was taken off Medicaid during the Biden administration illegally, and I'm back on it now. I had to get a legal aid type lawyer to help me get back on it. I am back on it. But when my social worker type people called them up for me, they wouldn't talk to us over the phone. And even one of them hinted that it was because of the illegal aliens being put on Medicaid that they took it off me. One of them even said that to me. And then they hardly would talk to us and everything. I'm back on it now.
Well, thank goodness you're getting the care you deserve, folks. And this is exactly what I was talking about. We have to. And this is not the only thing. You look at housing assistance. Look, folks, if you added the total cost of illegal immigration up, all aspects of it, I don't even know whether anybody has calculated that. But we are talking about trillions of dollars over multi-year periods. Look at the money they just spent in New York to house. Look at what happens in Los Angeles. Look at what happens in the school districts, in the healthcare. Everything that government spends money on. Now, again, I want to reiterate. Every conservative and many liberals that I know have good hearts. They don't want to see people suffer. They want to follow the golden rule. They want to see people treated kindly. But that said, they also want their government to take care of the responsibility of having American citizens taken care of first and foremost before we extend that generosity. And the failure to do that is where this debate should be centered. Honesty. Just be honest. And if the press in this country were honest, it would go a long way toward making sure that honesty spread into different aspects of our society. James Golden, Snerdley, our uno in the can. Our number duo coming up. So whatever you do, don't go away. Keep it right here.
The James Golden Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network. This is the James Golden Show with James Golden, a.k.a. Bo Snerdley.
Welcome, my friends. Our number duo of your Saturday morning vibe is here. Our number duo means one thing. It means it's time for us to check in with the star anchorette supremo of Red Apple Audio Networks, our chief anchorette, our very own Lizzie Radabali. Lizzie, good morning.
Good morning, Bo. Good morning. How are you doing this fine Saturday?
Oh, I am doing great, thank you. How about you?
Oh, you know, I have a list of complaints, but I'll save them for another day. I'll save them for
what's the complaint about? Life is wonderful. Lizzie, you have 4 amazing stories here that you sent me this morning. And I want to see if we can get to all of them. So let's start with your friend, Mr. Beast.
Oh my gosh. You know, when I saw this headline, I said, I have to send this to Bo. Oh my gosh. I'm convinced that this guy is like the Antichrist or something. I really do. Mr. Beast, he is a popular YouTuber for those who don't know, and he made his fortune and his fame off of like challenges, and he challenges people to do stuff. He's like locked people in grocery stores for a week, and they had to survive in the grocery store, which it's like, oh yeah, what a challenge. Lock someone in a room full of food and see if they'll survive like that. Anyways, Mr. Beast, he is now defending himself after he trapped a man in a burning building as part of a challenge, one of his famous challenge videos, to see what would you do for $500,000. The actual title of the video is, "Would you risk dying for $500,000?" And the answer, I mean, yes, duh. Anybody would die for $500,000, first of all. Like that, I think that's just a a question that doesn't even have to be asked. I mean, we all get in our cars to go to work every day. I mean, you're risking your life to make your paycheck to go to work. I mean, you're every day is a gamble. So the question of would you do something crazy for an insane amount of money? Like, duh, the answer is always going to be yes. So Mr. Beast, in his response now, so he locked this guy in a burning it's like supposed to be a model home, and he had to leave. There was bags of cash burning right behind him, and the challenge was this guy had to grab as much cash as he could as the house burned down around him. And he was able to get away with around like $300,000, and he said he was going to do it to help his retiring parents, which I just think, man, if you have to get in a burning building to help your retiring parents, I mean, it's just like, that is a grim sign of the times there.
Wow. But he did survive, and he walked out with $300K.
Yes, and Mr. Beast, he says he takes safety more serious than anyone you could ever imagine. Now, I don't have that good of an imagination. It's fizzled a bit, and my phone brain has taken hold, but I do still have somewhat of an imagination, and I can imagine that any person who doesn't put a person in a burning building probably takes safety more seriously.
I thought they were, and so he burned up $200,000.
Yeah, no, literally, he physically burnt up money, so just cash, just caught up in flames.
Clicks.
Yep.
Okay, this next story intrigues the heck out of me. Scientists, it says in the headline, this is a BBC story, scientists are growing mini human brains to power compute. Lizzie, explain this.
Yes, so this is coming out of Switzerland, and now Switzerland is not the only lab doing this kind of work. They're doing science called biocomputing. And it's a process where they take the neurons in cells and they develop them into clusters. And those clusters become what they call organoids, which then become electrodes. But the thing is, these organoids that they're using as the building blocks for these living computers, they have no idea anything about these things. They have scientists who are working on this. They don't even know how to keep them alive longer than 4 months. So yes, it is a technically living thing. It's these neurons that are taken from skin cells that are then transferred into stem cells through this long process. And this process, like I said, they're kind of figuring it out as they go. So they don't know how to make them properly. That's literally a quote from the scientist in charge of this lab. He says that it's tough sometimes because he's recorded about 1,000 or 2,000 individual deaths over the past 5 years, and they just have to record the death and start all over again. I mean, it's a massacre, and these people are playing God. Once again, I'm a bit of a Luddite when it comes to this new computing age. And this guy, he says that he wants to, he's always been a fan of science fiction. And he always felt a bit sad because his life was not like science fiction. Now, I have a challenge to anybody who feels the same way. How about living in reality for a bit? How about you live in reality? How about instead of making living computers, how about you make the computers work to help people live longer? I mean, what happened to AI being the dawn of the cure for cancer? Now I'm just seeing fresh water being taken out of communities and living computers that are being killed in mass. I mean, it is just, it's disturbing to me. And yeah, like I said, these people are playing God.
Interesting. What do they call this?
Biocomputing. And like I said, it's happening in Switzerland, this lab that they focused on, but it's also happening in Johns Hopkins here in the States and Australia.
And you said that these, I just had a text question come in. Where do you think they get these neurons? We explain very quickly one more time.
They get these, it's from a Japanese firm that donates these skin cells. It's a Japanese firm that collects skin cells via donation that then turn into stem cells. And they say that it's really important that they get them from this one lab in Japan because, like, their quality assurance is, like, all above board.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Let's move down to the next story, yeah? Guy's having a dispute with his neighbor. Why is he having a dispute with his neighbor, Lizzie?
Oh, so this story, this is just so weird. And you know where it came out of? It came out of Florida. Florida man is the central focus of this story. Now, this guy, Craig Vaught, he was arrested for animal cruelty because this woman his neighbor was feeding his peacocks, and he warned her. He said, "Hey, you stop feeding my peacocks," which is a weird thing to get mad about. And apparently she didn't. She kept feeding his peacocks, and eventually he then wrote her a letter detailing about how he killed those pet peacocks that were roaming around in his yard and ate them. And he went into grave detail about how he chopped the heads off of these peacocks and ate them, cooked and ate them. Now, this is just, I really think this story is an example of how animal cruelty charges and laws are really about, like, the human reaction, or about, it's really about the humanity at the center of it. Because this guy, I mean, peacocks notably are invasive species in Florida. I didn't know that. They are an invasive species. And this guy, he said, like, this is a nuisance. He kills and eats these peacocks. I mean, that's really not against the law to eat any animals. But I mean, this woman was so disturbed by this letter that they filed charges. I mean, he was held in prison. At the time that this story was written earlier this week, he was still in jail. So it's not really clear if he's, out of prison yet or not, if he's still being
Which
held.
is strange because an invasive species, Fish and Wildlife, which runs the agency that usually runs that, tells you that you're not allowed to transport them elsewhere. You should, they advise people how to, how shall we say, terminate the invasive species.
Yeah, they give, like, disposal guidelines, of course. But yeah, I think that, it's kind of weird that something that's been labeled as an invasive species, I mean, they're throwing the book at him for killing them. But I mean, this guy, like I said, he wrote this letter about how he killed.
Have you ever been around peacocks up close?
No, but I've been told that.
I can tell you something. They are very loud. No, I'm not kidding. They are extremely loud. And so people that have them, and they're beautiful animals, but they're very loud. And sometimes that's where the conflict arises, because it's like having a mega rooster at your front in the wee hours of the morning. It can be very, very challenging.
Yeah, it's just, this story is so odd to me because, like I said, these are his birds that were roaming around his yard.
Well, they're not his birds. They're wild. They were roaming around his, and she was feeding them. And yeah, he said that, if you keep feeding these, I'm gonna kill them. I'm gonna eat them. And he did.
And that he did. He followed through.
And thank you for fattening them up. Ew. Okay, last story. I saw this story, and I'm like, okay. The famous Maxwell House, good to the last drop, and all that good stuff. They're doing a rebrand.
Yes, and they're now Maxwell Apartment. They say that's to reflect the, the trends of the everyday consumer. They want to meet the consumer.
What does that mean?
A lot more people are renting nowadays. A third of Americans are opting to rent rather than purchase a home. That's a shocking price tag. And so
I read this story earlier in the week, and I think I remember them saying that this may not be a permanent change or something like that.
Yes,
I don't know.
It is a limited rebrand that they're
a limited rebrand. What the hell does that mean?
That means a PR stunt is what that means. That's what a limited rebrand is. It's like when IHOP did the International House of Burgers for a minute. or the Cracker Barrel fiasco, which they just fired that lady.
Yeah, they kicked off the agency that went with them on that. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's really just once again, sign of the times here from Maxwell House, that they say they want to meet the consumer where they're at, but really what it is just a PR stunt. It happened on September 29th, which was National Coffee Day, so convenient timing all there from Maxwell brand.
Okay, from Maxwell Apartment, good to the next to last to drop, I guess. Something.
Good to the last lease.
Okay, good to the last lease. I love it. Lizzie, thank you so much. Keep us updated if you hear more on this story about the growing mini human brains.
Yes, it's so odd.
Keep us up to date on this if you see more on this, okay?
I'll keep my eye on it. Thank you so much, Bo.
Thank you. Always. I'm telling you, Lizzie curates the most amazing stories, folks. Lizzie Radabali, Star Incorrect, Red Apple Audio Networks. Thank you, Lizzie.
Always a pleasure, Bo. Thank you so much.
James Golden, Snerdley, what you got here, Kelvin?
This is Accidentally in Love.
Okay.
By the Counting Crows.
Thank you. That's because birthday tomorrow for Dave Bryson, the guitarist with Counting Crows. They received a 2004 Academy Award nomination for this song, which was included in the film Shrek 2. James Golden and Snerdley, Saturday Morning Vibe continues. 800-848-9222 is how you reach us.
The James Golden Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
All right, we want to get to Jane Fonda really quick. Folks, I don't do the Hanoi Jane thing. Because it's just, but Jane Fonda is Jane Fonda. And so here's Jane Fonda.
Authoritarians, I'm learning, take about 18 to 22 months to consolidate power.
Really?
This administration is moving fast, which means we have to move fast. We have to do everything we can to stop what's happening before it becomes the norm, before it becomes institutionalized. And, a lot of sectors of our society are being attacked. But as my father and Judy Garland and scores of other major stars in the 50s knew, freedom is in our bones. Freedom of speech is essential to creatives, to storytellers, as we are. And we're going to fight. And we're going to show we have the capacity, because we're so creative, to come up with CNN, creative, nonviolent, non-cooperation against resistance, and model that for the rest of the country. This is a time, when I accepted my Screen Actors Guild Life Achievement Award, I said, we all watch documentaries of like the lunch counter sit-ins in Mississippi and Tennessee, and people being beaten, dogs attacking them, etc.
By Democrats.
Would I have been as brave? This is our documentary moment right now. We don't have to ask ourselves anymore, are we going to be brave enough to stand up? Because the only thing that can stop this is this massive movement of people, nonviolent and unified. And that's what we're trying to encourage and inspire. And we're starting with we're doing it with...
Okay. Thanks, Jane. Thank you, Jane. We'll be back.
The James Golden Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Yeah. All right, let's head to the telephones. People have been waiting. Victor is calling from Maryland. Victor, thank you for your patience. Welcome. How are you this Saturday morning?
Oh, I'm doing okay. So, Rush Limbaugh was having a rant about why the government was sticking their nose in and requiring the electric cars to make some kind of noise. So I told you as call screener that the blind need to hear the cars. So you put me through to Rush, and I told him, and he says, "Oh, that makes sense."
I remember that. And that was very, very instrumental in us understanding what was going on, because, of course, to that point, that was at a point, and people had already, I believe, maybe you pointed this out, or maybe I heard it elsewhere, that there had been a few accidents where people could not hear the vehicles and were hit by them, or something like that.
That, and a friend of mine got hit by the electric car because he didn't hear it. Fortunately, he wasn't badly injured, but he was shaken up. And I remember the National Federation of the Blind held mock funerals, pointing out how people could easily be killed because they wouldn't hear the electric car drive by. Because I would depend on listening to the sound of the traffic, and if I heard it in front of me, I know it wasn't safe to cross. But when I heard the traffic going either to my left or to my right, then I knew it was safe to cross the street.
Wow, Victor, you bring back memories, man. I thank you for calling and reminding me of that, and reminding everybody about that. Victor, how you doing?
Oh, I'm doing okay. I'm going to have some major surgery coming up soon to fix down there with the where the prostate is, reconstructive surgery that was caused by the radiation I had when I had prostate cancer. So I'm going to be in the hospital for a little bit. I don't know exactly when, but it's going to be soon.
Well, look, Victor, I'm wishing you well. Prostate cancer is something I'm very, very familiar with, and I understand. So just please, we're all praying for your 100% recovery on that. And please give us a buzz when you're out of the hospital. Let us know how you're doing, okay?
Okay, I'm going to look forward to listening to you every Sunday, and I really enjoy hearing you during the week, and I've been telling my friends to tune in so they can hear you. I'm friends with a lot of truckers, and I've been telling them about your show, and two or three of them, before they do their night shift, will tune into your show during the week.
Wonderful. And it's the Saturday show. Not on Sundays yet. We're working on that. Got to figure out how I can do 7 days. Because I would love to do a Sunday show. But I will, that's another topic for another time. Victor, thank you. And thank you for calling. We so appreciate you.
Thank you for having me on.
Okay, great. Steve in Jersey City, you are up next. How are you?
Good morning. Steve's the bass player from Jersey City. Hi, James. Before I make my point about, what's her face? Jane Fonda.
Jane Fonda?
Yeah, Maxwell House, they're temporarily branding Maxwell Apartments. They want to make the homeless in Frisco and Los Angeles feel included too, so they're also going to be calling themselves Maxwell Tent for a little while.
He's got jokes. He comes with jokes.
There you go.
All right, now Jane Fonda. First of all, did you understand what Jane Fonda was talking about? Because we were getting some what is she talking about?
No, the reason why you didn't understand Jane Fonda is because Jane Fonda doesn't understand Jane Fonda. She is so irrelevant. Kids don't know who she is. She's been gone for so long, and I think she wants to become relevant again, and she's desperate. Her dad, Henry, was a card-carrying communist. The guy. Did you ever see 12 Angry Men?
I did see 12 Angry Men.
Yeah, how he totally manipulates the jury to believe this kid. He put the shadow of doubt in their mind, but there was no shadow of doubt. But he just manipulated them, and he kept repeating over and over again. So they started believing there could have been a shadow of a doubt. The Fondas are just, I can't. I want to puke when I hear her name, only because of, and I know I'm not going to call her Hanoi Jane, but because of what she did in Vietnam, she shouldn't have even been let back in this country. It's just horrible. Fraternizing with the enemy, giving aid and comfort to the enemy,
At a time of war. Unforgivable for many people.
James,
for many people, it was unforgivable. Look, I so appreciate your call. Thank you so much, Steve. Want to just run out to Reno, Nevada very quickly. John, how are you in Reno, Nevada? Good morning.
Good morning, James. I'm doing good. I wanted to talk to you today about the immigration problem. What we need is the wall completed as soon as possible. Okay, that way we have complete control over who comes in, and we need to jointly administer a Bracero program like we did 70 years ago with Mexico, where businesses can apply for workers, and they'll be provided pre-screened, no criminal records here or there, and they can work for a set amount of time, then they return home. With such a Bracero problem, we can meet our labor needs that we desperately have.
Now, wait. Just say that one more time. A procura. What are you calling this again? A
Bracero. It's a Spanish word. We had a
Bracero
program 70 years ago with the Mexican government to provide workers for us, and it worked wonderfully well, except for the fact that the monies were paid to Mexico to be redistributed to the workers, and the Mexican government never paid the workers. But other than that, it was a wonderful program.
Other than the fact the workers didn't get paid, so they were essentially slaves, it worked out fine.
Yes, but with this Bracero program, we will have the companies pay the workers directly.
Pay the workers directly, right. They must have been Democrats, huh? Because, that's... Oops, never mind.
Oh, it was PRI, Partido Revolution Industrial. They ruled Mexico for like 85 years. They were horrible.
Yeah, but that sounds like a Democrat Party move. Don't pay the workers.
It's big government, but it eliminates and solves many problems.
You know what? That is a great program. What it all points to is something else that I honestly believe is true, which is that our immigration policies overall we need a complete overhaul.
Yes, sir.
But
you're right.
We need a total overhaul. But first things, we got to stop the fire. And therein lies what it is. But, okay, gotcha. What a great call. Thank you. I appreciate it. Want to grab, let's see where it's going from. Mike in New Rochelle, very quickly. Good morning, Mike.
Good morning, as always. Enjoy your show. And as I was telling the call screener, two gentlemen, that I have agreed with all of your musical critiques. Are you there?
I'm here. I'm listening.
You have put words to my insight on songs that go back 50 years. When you talked about Emerson, Lake and Palmer, you carved out every corner about Keith, Emerson, Carl Palmer. I was like, I saw them when I was in 8th grade. I was the only 8th grader who saw them out in Nassau County that December 12th of 73, and I bet you were there too. But I just want to say that your critique of Abbey Road is what prompted the call, and your critique alone. You know what was the number one thing you said about Abbey Road?
What's that?
Nothing. Your pause. Just the pause. Trying to find the words about Abbey Road.
There is none, right? Because how many times can you say an album name and it all floods to you at once? The imagery, the music. I was telling Kelvin during the break, because, Kelvin's younger. He didn't grow up in the age of the Beatles, and so some of the early Beatles music doesn't necessarily appeal to him the way it appeals to those of us who grew up with it, right? But I was saying to him, the thing about the Beatles is if you listen, there are certain songs. If you listen to Penny Lane, to me, Penny Lane, the instrumentation in it is perfect for the story. The story is perfect for the music. And the performance on that, it's masterpiece stuff. And that is where the Beatles, where people are not hearing, and it wasn't that it was just masterpiece. What they did, you can hear the influences of what they did in other music that came afterward, where people heard this particular Beatles song or that, and they're not, of course, the only group that do that. You can look at all the great innovative artists and they have the same qualities. They turned the music in a different direction because of what they did. And certainly the Beatles are right up there with being some of the greatest innovative acts that turned the entire shape of music into different directions. Would you agree with that?
In my head, agreeing with you. There I am nodding my head. You put words to my insight. I so appreciate you. Someone should make a compilation of all your musical critiques. Thank you so much for a great day.
Wow, thank you. What a compliment. James Golden and Snerdley. I want to get to some audio. We have other calls coming in, and we're going to take them. I want to get to some audio that we have to do before we leave here. Folks, this one is going to go by quick. It is 27 seconds long. This is the mayor of Seattle. And I want you to really listen carefully to what the mayor, he's running for re-election. He's in a re-election fight. This is the mayor of Seattle talking about criminals. Listen to what the mayor of Seattle has to say.
The criminal system has had a disparate impact on black and brown communities. Let me lead with that. So when this person is committing 6 or 7 crimes, I don't know his or her story. Maybe they were abused as a child. Maybe they're hungry. So my remedy is to find their life story to see how we could help first. I have no desire to put them in jail, but I need to protect you, and that's the calibration that we have.
Did you hear that? Play that one more time.
The criminal system has had a disparate impact on black and brown communities. Let me lead with that. So when this person is committing 6 or 7 crimes, I don't know his or her story. Maybe they were abused as a child. Maybe they're hungry. So my remedy is to find their life story to see how we could help first. I have no desire to put them in jail, but I need to protect you, and that's the calibration that we have.
Okay. Now, I just want to address this whole thing for 1 second, because this runs common. It's a common theme for this whole no bail, no cash bail move and everything else. Black and brown people are disproportionately impacted horribly by the criminal justice system. You know how to stop that? Well, this is not going to sound nice to some people. You know how to stop that? Kelvin, how do you think we would stop? Oh, yes, I'm going to put you on the spot. How do you think we would stop? How do you think it stops black people being impacted disproportionately by the criminal justice system?
It's a tough question.
Try to dance around it. Go ahead.
All right. So for me, I think it starts with becoming better people, having better the family unit. That's where it starts. Oh, okay. It starts inside those families. How to stop it? Yeah, it starts at the home. You got to have, like, I think when 2 people get together and they create a child, I think you got to have an intention for that child. If you're just out here procreating children without an intention for them, they're lost. You got to have some type of guidance. So it starts at home. Everything starts at home.
Interesting. Is Bill's mic on over there?
Yes.
Bill, how do we stop? Bill happens to be African American as well. Bill, how do we stop a disproportionate impact of the criminal justice system on black and brown people?
Well, I agree with Calvin. He said it starts at home with the family. Proper structure. First.
Damn. What the hell is going on in here today? TJ, how do we stop a disproportionate impact of he happens to be brown or black, whatever one is, whatever. How do we stop the criminal justice system from impacting disproportionately black and brown people?
Stop committing crimes.
Stop committing crimes? Stop committing crimes? How dare you people? What the hell is going on in here? Starts with the family. Starts with the family. To raise your children properly. Give them structure. Stop committing crimes. What the hell is happening in here? You people.
The James Golden Show.
The James Golden Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
You know, that last segment we did, how do we deal with this disparity with black impacted by crime? And brothers in here talking about fix your families, put some structure in your families, stop committing crimes. And then I said, so Bill, and then we get to the break and it's like, Kelvin says, yo, that wasn't Bill. That's not Bill. That's Rod. I'm like, oh shoot. Uh-oh. Y'all look alike. I mean, you look, ooh, y'all look, but he looked like Bill. Because we had a brother here, Bill. I embarrassed myself. Yeah. Anyway, our number trio is coming up. This is John Cicada. We promised you the Spanish version. And this is also a remix. This isn't the same one as the other one. But love Cicada. Happy birthday to John Cicada. Oh, by the way, I don't know whether you saw all the stuff this week with Pete Hegseth. Pete Hegseth called out the fat generals and said, we can't have this. Peggy Noonan went off. She wrote a long column about how embarrassing it is to have Pete Hegseth as defense. He's embarrassing Pete Hegseth. He's such an embarrassment. I am not embarrassed at all about Pete Hegseth. And he also said we are returning to manly standards in the military. I ain't mad at him. I am not, and I don't think he's an embarrassment. I think this is long overdue. Princess Diana is coming up in the next hour. As well, coming up in the next hour will be America's small caffeinated mom. So, the caffeinated mom will be here, Princess Diana will be here, and your telephone calls at 800-848-9222. So what you want to do is keep it right here. Saturday Morning Vibe. James Golden, Bo Snerdley with you. 800-848-9222 is how you reach us. And whatever you do, do not go away.
The James Golden Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Our uno, our numero duo in the can. Our number trio is here. Our trio, well, means one thing. Time for the Ness.
It's time for Radio Royalty with James Golden and America's Princess of Policy, Princess Di.
Yes, my friends, Her Highness is in the houseness. All goodness, all lightness, all the funness, all analysisness, and every other ness in the world. She's with us this morning, overlooking her vast provinces from the castle up on high. Princess Diana.
Oh, Sir James Ness, it's so wonderful to speak to you today.
How you making out in this shutdown, Princess Ness? You okay? You got enough food? Got enough water? Of course, you should still have water left over from the Y2K thing, but...
Okay. Well, like
Princess Diana, ladies and gentlemen, Princess Diana took This is now going back almost 20, it is 25 years. It is 25 years since this happened. Princess Diana pretty much bought a water factory. When Y2K was coming, they were saying there's not going to be any water. There's not going to be any electricity. You're all going to have to just, and she bought into it. She bought water. She had house full of water. Still has some water from 2025. She's still trying to drink. Your computers are going to shut down. She was trying to figure out how to get one of those old ancient first models of the computer, with the beads and everything that you can compute, because everything was going to shut down. I bet her. I said,
I was prepared. I did not know what would happen, and so I just wanted to make sure I would have water for my friends. I would have sold you some.
I didn't buy any extra water because I said nothing is going to happen. It's going to be a normal New Year's night, and then we're going to proceed right into the new millennium.
Well, yes, you were right. And I, however, as a mother, I needed to make sure my children would be able to have water, and it didn't go to waste. I mean, over the course of a year, I was able to use it, so it was a perfectly fine thing to do, and I was ready, and I would have given you some. I was wrong. I wouldn't have sold it to you. I would have given it to you.
And as a bad mother, shut your mouth. I knew that. Anyway, never mind. All right, here we are in the shutdown, and you're doing okay. The government is shut. You know who our friend Raghavan Mayur over at Technometrica Institute for Public Policy had a great op-ed. This is a shutdown? And he talked about the fact that 2/3 of the government is up and running because 2/3 of the government is nothing but sending checks to people. And all of that is still going on. And so the parks are closed, maybe, half closed, and a few other things. But the postal service is open, people getting their checks,
Well, I have to say that I was reading some of the doom and gloom, and the funniest one was Politico predicting that the bathrooms in national parks may not be cleaned as well as usual. I mean, they have to dig so deep. It was so interesting. My daughter, who was young in the earlier shutdowns, I had sent her an email explaining to her that it was nothing to worry about. The people who were furloughed temporarily would be paid. And I said the most, worrisome thing is the Panda Cam will be shut down. Now, this was from 2007, if you remember. That was what was the doom and gloom, was the Panda Cam. They always pick something. Rush, as you know, made a lot of fun of the reindeer coalition in Yellowstone Park was going to be because they got federal funds. So they always pick something. They look for anything because, as you have experienced and I have experienced, nothing is different in our lives. Everything is fine. But my daughter sent that to me again, that text from 2007, and told me, I know now not to worry because you reassured me back then. And it's true. Do you remember?
Wow.
Do you remember in 2018 there was a month-long government shutdown? I didn't even remember that.
I had forgotten all about it until I read it earlier this week. 35 days, and I'm like, what? Wait, the government was closed for 35 days?
It's true. It used to scare Republicans because they are so worried, or were so worried in the pre-Trump era, of being quote-unquote blamed. And as you mentioned earlier in the show, that it has not hurt the Republicans politically. Even the first one, the Republicans retained the 94 majority in 96. The shutdown was in 95 under Gingrich, and they retained the majority. It was not this big bloodbath. For whatever reason, the media has changed the record for a lot of people in Washington and thinks that, and who cares? By the time the next election comes, no one is even thinking about who's blaming who. It's never a factor, ever, in the election. So I think that it is a different environment this time, and the Republicans are not acting fearful. And I just wanted to give kudos to the Republican Party because for the first time in my adult life paying attention, they are on message. They are unified. They are 100% not afraid. And I am thanking Trump for showing the Republicans how to win. And I had asked you if you had the soundbite of Mike Johnson, the Speaker of the House, from yesterday, and I hope you have that soundbite available.
Well, wait a minute. Let me see, because I missed that message. I'm sorry. I would have made sure we had, but I know we had some Mike Johnson in here in the soundbite roster anyway, because I saw Mike. So let me just search really quick.
Well, you don't need to find it. It was, basically an interesting on NBC. The co-host of Today, Craig Melvin.
Oh, that's right. He cut him off. He cut him off as he was explaining
it. And so it is just hilarious, and maybe during the week you can find it, because in the middle of Speaker Johnson telling the audience, which is a big audience, Today's show, where the funding for illegal immigrants can be found in the Democrat continuing resolution, the funding mechanism. The Speaker of the House is trying to say where this can be found on page 57, section 2141. And he gets interrupted every 2 words by Craig Melvin, and who keeps saying, well, we can't get to it, obviously, on this show. We're not going to get into the reason. We don't have time for that.
Now, I do have one. I have one that I want you to listen to. I'll find that one, but I do have one that I want you to listen to. Cut 4, Kelvin. This is, Johnson's been all over the place. He was with Stuart Varney over on Fox, and they were reacting to Elizabeth Warren's hysterical claims, and this Princess Di's how that one sounded.
Democrat Senator Elizabeth Warren had almost a meltdown after being asked about health care, free health care for non-citizens. Watch this, Mr. Speaker.
Mm-hmm. Republicans say what you're really fighting for is taxpayer dollars for, as they put it, illegal aliens. I know that's not strictly true, but there is a provision.
Excuse me, not strictly true.
It's not true directly, but
out lie. It is a flat-out lie.
In the Democratic counteroffer, the proposal for funding, there is a restoration of Medicaid benefits for certain non-citizens that it had been taken away in the big, beautiful bill, as the Republicans put it. Republicans don't think those people should be getting health care on the taxpayer dime.
Mr. Speaker, the obvious question is, are illegals getting free health care?
Yes, Elizabeth Warren has as much credibility on this as she did on her genealogy report about being a Native American. Let me tell you something. You don't have to take my word for it, Stuart. I want you to go. All your viewers, you have a very sharp audience. Go to speaker.gov. That's my official website. On the first page, you'll pop up the counterproposal continuing resolution that Chuck Schumer, Elizabeth Warren, and the Senate Democrats filed. Go to page 57. Look at section 2141. Okay, what they say there is they want to repeal the reforms that we made to the health system under the One Big Beautiful Bill, the Working Families Tax Cuts that we got signed into law by the President on July 4th. Why is that so important? Because by doing so, they would restore almost $200 billion in hard-earned taxpayer dollars, benefits, to illegal aliens for their health care and other services. That's what they are arguing as their counterproposal to keep the government open. We are not doing that.
And that is exactly what he was trying to explain to the NBC guy, right?
Yes, exactly. And he, every 2 or 3 words, and you've heard lots of examples when a Republican is on one of the mainstream media shows and they do not let them get out a sentence. It was one of those experiences. By the end of it, however, Johnson got it out. Go to my website, speaker.gov. You can see it for yourself. And so I just want to thank the Republicans. Everyone was on message. The entire cabinet was on message. And in fact, every message, an away message from people in the government who have been shut down, blames the Democrat Party, which, of course, the Republicans are now being hit by Hatch Act complaints, because in their away messages, they're saying, Democrats have shut down the government. I am unavailable. I am out of the office for the foreseeable future because Senate Democrats voted to block a clean federal funding. So this is the entire executive branch has these away messages. And in fact, Politico is so upset because they wanted to have a comment on this. And the White House did not return a request, but sent a message basically blaming staff shortages resulting from the Democrat shutdown. So they got the message, Politico, on a recording, just like everyone else who is calling the executive branch is getting the message, blaming specifically the far left, the Democrat Party. This is across the entire executive branch. And I just want to say, thank you, Republican Party. Finally, this is what we've been waiting for. Everyone knows what to say. They're blaming a true fact where the Democrats are trying to restore health care funding for illegal aliens. And that is right there in their bills. And they are denying it. They have the media cover for it. But it's not working because they're unified. And I can't remember another time, James, can you, when this happened?
Nope. And I also cannot remember another time when Democrats are being excoriated by their own side, like that article I read from the contributor to the LA Times this morning for not being able to compete with Trump. They are outraged over the trolling and all. Let's talk about that when we get back. We got to take a quick break. They are outraged that they are being trolled mercilessly by Donald Trump, and they don't know how to deal with it.
The James Golden Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Princess Di is with us. What's messed up? It's not messed up. I give Beyonce plenty of props. She and Mr. Z. No, Mrs. Z and Mr. Z. Mr. Z better be glad he's not in the business that he was in before, and he better be glad he's not in one of them little speedboats coming in from Venezuela, because those guys are not having fun. Princess Diana is still with us. Princess Diana, Trump uses shutdown to troll Democrats with deep fake memes about layoffs from ABC. They are mad. The White House defended President Donald Trump's continuing to use social media to troll Democrats during the government shutdown. And he posted 2 deep fake videos featuring Project 2025's co-author as the Grim Reaper. And another mocking Hakeem Jeffries again. They are not happy.
I really wanted to start first with kudos to Republicans, but the real reason this has been such a fun week, a fabulous week, a wonderful week is because Trump has employed a mechanism, a method, a media that the Democrats have no answer to. And as you read that LA Times story, which was excellent, that Democrats are wildly unprepared to face down Trump. This is one of the reasons. He is using memes, which are short little videos. They are funny. They are hilarious. They make fun of the left, and they do what Rush started doing for the first person on the planet to do, which is to tweak the left, because they have no sense of humor. They have no sense of humor, and they have no truth. And so this is why it works so well.
Now, I tell you what, Princess Di, stay there. When we get back, we're going to have reaction from one of those. You sent it in, and we're going to play it. And also, we're going to play the one that started off the memes. The one that started off the memes that has them enraged, betwixt, befuddled.
The James Golden Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Princess Diana is here. Princess, let's revisit what started the whole troll thing. There we are minding our own business, Princess, and all of a sudden we start getting images pop into us from something that was posted on Truth Social. And then it spread to the other social media. And what it is, standing next to each other are Hakeem Jeffries and Chuck U. Schumer. Chuck U. Schumer is doing the speaking, but the speaker, the minority leader of the House, Hakeem Jeffries, has a huge sombrero and a Frito Bandito mustache. And he's just looking on, with the sombrero and with the mustache, while Chuck Schumer says it's cut 36, while Chuck Schumer says this.
Look, guys, there's no way to sugarcoat it. Nobody likes Democrats anymore. We have no voters left because of all of our woke trans bull. Not even black people want to vote for us anymore. Even Latinos hate us. So we need new voters. And if we give all these illegal aliens free health care, we might be able to get them on our side so they can vote for us. They can't even speak English, so they won't realize we're just a bunch of woke pieces of at least for a while until they learn English and they realize they hate us too.
James, seriously, that is just hilarious. And one of the things that happened was the resulting outrage. The Democrats, who cannot stand to be made fun of, and they were, as you say, they were just spluttering. But this is fake. I mean, Chuck Schumer went to the floor of the Senate. Basically complain about this meme. And meanwhile, and this is so important, meanwhile, it is so just naturally hilarious, everyone was sending it to their friends. Information on this is really an important point. The fact that this went viral, the fact that people were sending this and laughing about it drowned out all the complaints. Of course, it was called racist by the... Nobody cared. Nobody cared. It was just hilarious. And I haven't had so much fun since the Harry Reid letter in 2007. If you remember, Rush sent off that letter, and the fact we all got involved, the participation on eBay of people putting in their bids for that thing was a national participation, and that was so much fun. And Rush basically completely overcame any power that the Democrats had at the point and won and basically got $4.2 million for his cause. But this new meme warfare is so effective because it uses a language that the Democrats cannot speak, and that is humor and truth. And it is so funny, and immediately Trump capitalized on it and started doing more of these until the whole internet was sombreros and mariachi music, and everyone was having so much fun, and the Democrats, all they could do was be all mad about it. This isn't true. This is terrible. And Amy Klobuchar basically said the line, "It's not funny," which is what the Democrats and the left always does. It's not funny, and the rest of us are falling on the floor laughing in the meanwhile. And they here's
Amy. Here's Amy.
What else has he done in response to our serious request to have negotiations? He posts a deepfake video with sombreros in it, and he thinks that's funny. This isn't funny to the American people who are starting to get their premium bills right now. Then today it's the Grim Reaper with himself in a video that is just, again, completely, he thinks this is funny. He thinks that people are going to joke about this. I promise you, they're not. They are seeing their premiums double right now. So why is this something we're standing up for now? Because it's...
Yeah. I promise you people are not going to think it's funny. Yes, we do think it's funny.
and literally, they have no approach to this. They have no answer to it. They don't know what to do, and that is why Trump is running rings around them, and so are we all. We are having so much fun, and they cannot be the object of ridicule, which is unanswerable according to their own rules for radicals by Saul Alinsky. That ridicule is the most powerful weapon, and they are now on the receiving side, and they don't know what to do.
The AP, the Oval Office meeting didn't stop a shutdown, but the Trump 2028 hats and a sombrero set the tone.
Yes, in that wonderful, Here Comes the Reaper, which is from the Don't Fear the Reaper music by Blue Oyster Cult. They have the lyrics whenever a Democrat comes on their little video, blah, 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 blah. Because we're all laughing and they're serious and this is important and what we have to say is serious and blah, 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 blah.
AP, halfway through Donald Trump's inaugural White House meeting with congressional leadership, days before a government shutdown, the red hats appeared on the president's desk. Trump 2028, they said. Situated across from the seated lawmakers, Vice President J.D. Vance and several untouched Diet Cokes. House Democrat leader Hakeem Jeffries leaned over to Vance, himself a 2028 contender, and quipped, "Hey, bro, you got a problem with this?" The room chuckled in response. It was the most randomest thing in the world because we're sitting there, we're having a serious conversation, and all of a sudden these two red hats appeared, Jeffries recalled later at the Capitol. It was all so unserious.
And James, did you know that in response to that, another meme video came out of Trump throwing the hats at the Democrats and it landing on their heads? And Trump
on their heads, yes.
Laughing.
Yes.
So he's laughing. This is the wonderful thing. There is a one-up every time they react with "we are being serious." Trump laughs at them, and they have no answer. So refreshing.
Well, and the truth of it is, okay, Diana, I have 1 minute. I need a 1 minute response. This thing that Mondami did has me boiling. He's promising to get rid of gifted programs for kindergarten students because black and brown children don't get as many entries into the gifted program as others do. So let's get rid of the whole thing. Screw the gifted kids. Let's put everybody in, lump them all together. What do you think?
It's awful. It's just awful, and that's what liberals do about everything. Anyone who succeeds, anyone who achieves, anyone who's a standout. And in the past, and this is how it should be, our country wants to support people who are gifted and who are talented, and we want more of it. We don't want to tamp down the ones who are going to be the leaders in the future. And so this is a evil thing he's trying to do, and I hope that the city of New York City does not let him.
Princess Diana, thank you always. Looking forward to catching up with you during the week, if we can this week. Hopefully you won't say no.
The James Golden Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
And sprinkled in with all that is a healthy dose of inspiration. And for that, we turn to our very own America's small caffeinated mom, Rhonda Schrock. Good morning, Rhonda.
Good morning, James. I'm thrilled to be here. I just want to mention that humor that holds a kernel of truth is like a hat pin in the balloon of self-importance. Anyway, for whatever that is worth. But what I want to share with you this week, James, is I think it's on Tuesday, on October the 6th, our family is celebrating a very precious milestone. Our oldest son will mark on October the 6th 5 years of sobriety.
Wow.
I have told this story here. I'm not going to tell it again. That 5-year mark somehow coming up just really put us in a reflective mood and thinking back to what the 5 years ago, where he was on the streets, lost to us, didn't even know where he was. And now 5 years later, he is in a much different place. I was having a conversation with a friend this week that brought something back to my mind. She and her husband are very close friends of ours, and for the last 12 months, it has been a parade of awful, actually, for them. Every month, there has been a new calamity, and I mean big stuff. Those of us who love them dearly feel helpless and impotent to alleviate their pain and distress. It's just been awful. And this is what she told me. She said, somehow we're still standing, but my body is paying the price. I keep bracing myself because I can't let my guard down, and I knew all too well what she meant. Well, two words came to my mind as we were talking: dreadlocked. She is dreadlocked, and I know that place where you are locked into a position of dread and bracing. Everything in your whole entire being is tight. You cannot think, you cannot see, you cannot rest. Every part of you is completely exhausted because you're waiting for the next emergency, the next phone call, the next disaster. I knew exactly what she was talking about. There were two things as I looked back at that years-long journey with our son. There were two things that saw us through that awful time. One, of course, was our faith, but the other was our friends. When you are in sort of the fog of war, it is so important to have trustworthy people in your inner circle. And I mean trustworthy people who have earned your trust, people who are full of love and wisdom. Because the love of a good friend applies salve to those wounds in a way that nothing else can. And the wisdom that they carry speaks truth to you that you can't see and process at the time. You have to have somebody with clear eyes and sound wisdom. So those loving friends were the hands that pulled us up out of the water and back into the boat. I can't even tell you how much difference those loving friends made to us. My dear husband struggled during those years with despair. And somehow, even though I used to be a very fearful person, I knew that I could not join him in despair. And I used to, it was too costly, James. I couldn't pay that price because it would have taken me out. And so I used to say to him, there's no actual reason for despair. It only looks like it right now. And I would just double down and refuse to come out of that position. Well, there did come a day in our son's journey where I actually had to put him out of my mind for my own mental health, my own well-being. I could not allow myself to think of him, or I would be tempted to go to despair. So I couldn't imagine where he was, who he was with, what he was doing. I just had to put him out of my mind. But I never put him out of my heart. I never put him out of my heart. And as I waited for his return, I kept practicing letting go of that fear and that dread, and the longer I practiced, the easier it got until I was able to live my life. It was not humanly possible, but I could live my life with happiness, actual happiness, peace, joy. I could laugh at my kids. They're hysterical human beings. I could just enjoy my life with my husband and my kids. And even as I was waiting, and my miracle had not come. Well, recalling what happened this last spring, every time I hear my husband tell it, it's so poignant. This is what he tells people, and he is moved to tears every time he says this. I'm quoting him now. 5 years ago, he was on the streets. On Easter Sunday, he was preaching. That handsome, strapping, muscular, healthy, happy, productive son of ours is taking classes as we speak. He wants to be an ordained minister. We are overjoyed. James, I can't tell you how happy and thankful we are for his journey and where he is now and what he is preparing to do. And he will be able to be the love and the wisdom that are the salve and the hands for people that his father and I will not be able to reach because of where he's been. So what I want to say to all of those who are locked in dread, and there are so many different situations in life that are have us bracing, locked down, locked up, I just want to say, lean into your own wise and loving people. Let them be the hands that lift you back into your own boat. Cultivate those loving, caring relationships. And I'm so thankful that my husband and I were able to stay connected with each other. Many times a trial of that size will drive people apart or break up marriages. But we worked at our own connection. We had loving, caring connections with other people, and it kept our feet on the ground. Close your ears to that voice of despair. This is what I want to leave you with. Close your ears to the voice of despair. Use your own voice to say out loud until you start to believe it. There's no actual reason for despair. It only looks like it right now. Because as long as there is life, there is hope. That is true. And my oldest son bears that witness. That's what I want people to know today.
Wow. Rhonda, that is beautiful. Now, I have a thought that comes from that, and I wonder if maybe this is something for you to explore, maybe not. You said something really key in this about your son now moving from his trials and his tribulations into now working to become an ordained minister, okay? This is what he wants to do.
Yes.
So,
yes,
here's what I'm thinking. Okay. We, with the limitations that we have as mortal human beings, all of us, we can never, in that framework, see the big picture. We can never see it. It is impossible for us to see the big picture. When you said that to me, I said, oh, so those 5 years, he was getting what he needed for his mission, so that he has an understanding from experience that many people will never be able to understand, except those that have been where he has been and walked the path that he walked.
James, that is so true. Oh, my goodness. He went through a rehabilitation 18-month program, and ever since then, he has been on staff at that program, working with other men who are where he was. And if that isn't preparation for what he will be doing, I can't think what would be better preparation. And that is not something his dad and I would have known he needed. You're right. Humanly, you can't know always what someone needs.
Thanks for listening to The James Golden Show. You can hear The James Golden Show Saturday mornings at 7. If you like the podcast, share it with your friends and listen anytime at WABCRadio.com and download the WABC Radio app. Hit that subscribe button on all major podcast platforms. Plus, follow WABC on social on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and X. See you next time for a new episode so you never have to wonder.
What the heck is going on here?